What is up, y'all? We're live streaming in Facebook, and I am so dang excited to be able to talk to you today and for you to be able to meet my beautiful friend, Jennifer Reyes. She is incredible. First of all, this color, her hair, all of the above, drop dead gorgeous. Are you joking right now? But Jennifer has been in sales for 23 years now. I'm like trying to do the math in my head. Y'all, I asked her how long she'd been in sales and she said 99. And I said, there's no way that you could, like, 99, like you're not 99. But since 99, she started with copier sales. She's been able to work with coaches, consultants, almost everything that you can think of. I have gotten the honor and the pleasure of getting to know her personally and on a business level. And this woman is incredible. I absolutely love her. I absolutely love her heart and her willingness to serve. And with sales, something that so many people kind of get like an icky feeling on, she shows up in this industry and she shows up. She's like, no, guys, like, let's do it different. Let's do heart-centered sales. Let's be able to connect to people. And I know that this is something that y'all are passionate about. I know that this is something that y'all want to hear. And so I'm so excited for you to get to meet her, for you to be able to lean in. We're going to be talking about some objection handling. We're going to be talking about, some of those like feelings that you may get. We were talking before and she was like, oh, let's just go deep. I'm like, let's just do it. Let's give them some value. So Jennifer, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me here. I just adore you. I love you. And seriously, you have impacted and helped me so much with social media. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share my voice, be more visible, because we all have these things inside regarding presenting our services, right? And so for some people, sales was really a struggle. For me, social media was a thing for me. I was late to the game, right? So thank you for helping me, launch that.
Absolutely. Girlfriend, you have such a message to be able to share with people. And I love every single time I get to see what you're posting and what you're talking about. So, all right, y'all. And it's really cool too, because we talked about, we're like, yeah, it's like, go together. Like sales and marketing are two very different things, but they like work together and they go together really well. So that's why I wanted Jennifer to come and talk to you today. But I'm going to let her talk a little bit and just share a little bit of her backstory, because y'all know storytelling is so important. And for you to get to know her a little bit and to know some of her heart and her why for why she teaches heart-centered sales the way that she does.
Well, thank you. So, I was just making sure we're really live because I'm getting messages that people can't see it.
Oh, no. Okay. I'll make sure it's like pinned to the top of the group.
Yes. All right. So my backstory, is that what you asked me? Yeah. So I really didn't know what I wanted to do when, I grew up. Like it just wasn't, I didn't know I was going to get into sales right out of school, right out of college. But I had a friend that was in copier sales and I decided to check that out. And before you knew it, I was there for 6 years, but I was 1 out of 10 people in my training class that basically was the only one that made it, even though I was voted to be the #1 person to quit. So it wasn't something that was totally natural for me. There were certain things that I did have to learn, but what was natural was really
Jennifer,
just connecting.
I'm so sorry. We are not live in the correct group.
This has been my morning all morning.
Okay, so we're gonna try it again and stop live stream and go live in the correct group.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
You know what, Mary? You're just on Mexican time with me today because
I love that.
Yeah. We'll just roll with it. We don't have to be right at 12 on the dot, do we?
No. Hey, we're going to allow some more people to jump in there.
Yeah.
It was our practice round.
Yeah.
Okay. Group. Engagement accelerator. There we go. Okay, wait, we're going to try this. We're going to do it this time. This is happening this time.
Like, what group did that go into? Oh, no.
What is up, y'all? Guys, I got to share this with you because this is absolutely hilarious. First of all, thank you for joining us today. I am so excited. Y'all, we've been live for about 10 minutes in a different group. So this is part 2. We are in the correct group. It is good. And y'all, I'm so excited for you to meet my beautiful friend, Jennifer Reyes. This girl, not only is she absolutely gorgeous, the hair, the shirt, I just keep pointing it out because I just like, you look radiating, girlfriend, but she rocks the sales game. She rocks being able to teach you more about heart-centered sales. And I'm so glad because that's literally like the name of her program, like Heart-Centered Sales, because that's who she is. In a world that can be slimy and icky and gross, Jennifer is able to show up and show you how sales is an asset. Sales is something that you get to teach other people and that you get to do to the highest level. Because at the end of the day, you are helping somebody else get what it is that they actually need. And so I'm so excited for you to meet Jennifer. I'm so excited for you to learn from her. She's going to be talking a little bit about maybe some of that like anxiety or some of those icky feelings that you might feel about sales. Hello, anybody else ever feel like that? Me? Okay, she's going to be talking some about objection handling. And if you want to know, like, hey, does this girl know what she's talking about? Does she know what she's doing? Yes. She's been in the sales game for the past 23 years, doing copier sales. You can do copier sales, then you can teach about a program, okay? She's worked with coaches, consultants. She's literally been able to help people all around the world be able to get heart-centered sales. And so I'm so excited for you to meet her. Jennifer, thank you for joining me. You're one of my favorite people, and I'm so dang grateful for you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Mary. I am so excited to be here and speak to your peeps as well as mine. So hi, everyone. And I just want to say how much you've impacted me, Mary. From the moment I saw your DMs, I'm like, who is this girl with the purple hair? I mean, I loved you also because you had purple hair, but just the way that you really share from the heart, Mary, and with humor. And I believe at that time I was watching you have a big knife in your hand, chopping vegetables. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous for her. But you were talking and encouraging us to shine more on social media. So thank you for what you do and encouraging us to get our message out there.
Girlfriend, y'all got a message to be able to share, and it is good. All right, Jennifer. So now that we are live in the correct group and people are actually able to hear, would love to hear a little bit more of your backstory and how you got to where you are today, just so people get to know a little bit about you.
Yeah, let me just give you the real quick version because it is a deep, long, beautiful story, but it was kind of yucky in the beginning. But yeah, right out of college back in 1999, I went into copier sales and I did that for 6 years. I never would have imagined I would have stayed there for that long. I was actually voted to be the #1 person to quit out of 10 in my training class. But I was just kind of quiet and observing and kind of seeing where I fit. But I really truly didn't understand where I fit in because I didn't know my true identity, Mary. I wasn't really able to step into that until 13 years later of who God really made me to be, really utilize those gifts and talents and allow them to flow effortlessly. Right. But so many times as we're going through the motions, and especially, you know, or in, I'll say in my younger years, some of you, you may still be in these years, but, you know, my 20s, my 30s, and here I am in my 40s. But, you know, it was really just navigating, and I didn't have that unfair advantage that you have now, Mary, which is truly understanding, you know, that you were chosen and you're called to move forward and serve others in the way that you do, right? But I didn't really understand that. But what I did know about sales, what I love the most was the connections, the relationships, and that's really what sales is about. It's about serving others. It doesn't have to be, you know, chasing people down, trying to convince them or convert them of any which way. No, but we do want to step firmly, right, into your truth, right? What is that truth? And for me, it's not just my perspective, but it's the truth. What can I stand firm on, right? In who God is and who He said I am. And that's how I can carry out that assignment that He's placed within me.
Wow. Girlfriend, this is powerful. And so when you talk about like your identity and being able to talk from that, what does like break this down for people who maybe have never heard it before? Like, what does knowing your identity have to do with your sales, your business, your calling?
Yeah, pretty much everything. Like everything. I mean, I know we only have an hour today, and so we can always continue this conversation if people really want to dive in, more specific to them. But that identity and knowing who we are is going to help us for what I call unshakable confidence, right? It actually
Mhm.
doesn't have to rely on our own shoulders and come from us. So, but what can we lean on that is unshakable? And I know what my
Wow.
answer is there, right? Because everything else can be shaky, especially as you move forward and you're starting, you're growing, you're scaling your business and you're incorporating, who you are in every aspect. We can't separate our faith, our life, and our business. In corporate, that's kind of what we were taught to do, right? Leave your personal life checked at the door, but it's a part of who you are. So we want to make sure that we're building off of a solid foundation.
Yeah. Wow. So, one of the things that I know a lot of people have had questions about is like this aspect of being anxious while talking about sales, being on sales calls, all of these different aspects of it. Can you talk a little bit about how to get past some of that anxiety, some of that nervousness, whatever it might be?
Yeah. Well, I had anxiety pretty much my entire life and didn't know it until I didn't have it anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't still have moments, right? That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that things can't try to surface. Actually, today, there was a lot of things that try to come up today to throw me off from really, showing up and speaking today and serving in this way. But again, one of the ways that I remembered when I first did my very, very first workshop, right? This was about 9 years ago when I launched Sales from the Heart, my company. And I did this workshop and I didn't even have a social media following. I was really late to the game with social media, with smartphones, pretty much that's the story of my life now that I think about it, sometimes I'm just running on Mexican time with things, right? I can say that I'm Mexican. But the thing is that, how can we show up in the way that God is asking us to show up, right? What way are you being led to show up? And that will take the pressure off of you because it's not about you, right? How can you actually just be present and be there for people with the minimal amount of hustling, right? We don't want to hustle, we don't want to grind. Back in the day when I was in corporate, I had that theme song, every day I'm hustling, hustling, right? Running through my mind as I'm going to work. I also felt like I was in that Groundhog's Day, right? Just constantly repeating the same patterns, but not really truly shining, not really truly enjoying and being present. Right. So, my very first workshop that I did, I didn't have a website. Y'all, I just got a website, by the way, this year, 9 years later,
It's amazing.
jenniferreyes.com. So, it's not even complete yet, but it's getting the job done. Okay. I didn't have business cards, right? I didn't even have like handouts. I just showed up. I had note cards. I dropped them all over the floor, which I knew better from working with Dale Carnegie training back in the day. I used to work for some, coaching companies and pretty big people in the industry. I knew better than to have everything like word for word, but I was trying to have that false security blanket. I was trying to lean on other things. How many of you have a full-time job and then you're doing this business part-time, but you're being asked to step forward and do your coaching business full-time? You see, I sat on my gifts and blessings for 13 years when the concept and coaching entered my mind before anybody knew what a coach was. They thought I wanted to coach sports. I'm like, I know nothing about sports. But I thought I was too young. I thought I needed a certification. I thought I needed, enough money in the bank account. No, that wasn't for me. That wasn't my path. And everything I'm going to share with you today, I'm just sharing from my story. Okay, your story may be different. I don't give you an exact blueprint, but I'll customize things for you because the way that God may be asking you to show up may be very different than how he's asking me to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I want to just talk about that last part of it because everybody wants a script, everybody wants that security blanket, and you literally just like busted through that myth of, yeah, like there's a blueprint, like there's a way to do it. There are certain things that can work better than other things, but your and my sales aspect, like the script, if you will, they're not going to be the same, and they never were supposed
No.
to be.
No, yeah, exactly. So just like you mentioned, we have guidelines, right? You have great handouts, Mary. You have the 5x5 formula. You have things that
Mhm.
you teach other people, and these are guidelines. But it's not an exact like, hey, you have to follow the exact recipe. I used to say that back in the day because that's what my mentors were teaching me. Although I realized this is not who I should be following per se and everything because we just have different principles on stuff, right? But also, how you may be asked to show up, right? So is going to be different for the next person. So just like for me, my path was not to have a website first, right? It wasn't needed. All the traditional methods of moving forward in business, that's what hasn't showed up for me. And a lot of people that I serve too, they follow that same path for themselves, right? They're not being asked to do things in the traditional way. It's counter intuitive to what the world says to do, but it's still working for them, right? It
Yeah.
works for them.
Yeah. And it's because, again, you understand those principles. You understand what it is that you need to do. And also, you're saying yes to your assignment.
Yeah.
We're not on the
Because
same assignment.
there could be, let's go back to that anxiety thing. There could be some things that need to get cleared and healed. Yes, there's a lot that comes up when it comes to sales, right? So this is I can help people with their sales and increase up to 90% enrollments or higher, right? That's the easy part. That's the easy part. It's all
Did
the
anybody
other
catch
stuff in
that?
between.
Did anybody catch that? The fact that it's easy to get to a 90% closing ratio. Like, hello?
Let me rephrase. Let me say it's simple. I have to
Okay.
exchange those words, simple,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not always easy for everyone. There's a lot going up here and here
Mhm.
that there's still healing. Okay. So let me say that. But when we get to it, once you get rolling with it, it is really, really simple. It doesn't
Yeah.
need to be so overly complicated. That's the lies that keep trying to come at us. Yeah, we still get those. We get thrown. I mean, today, let me tell you some of the messages and things that I got thrown my way today, but the good ones outweighed it, right? The
Mhm.
breakthroughs that are happening with my clients right now, amazing. Praise God for that, right? He gets
Yeah.
all the glory for that. But it's those little things, one little message that can come in that I could have totally misinterpreted as well, right? Tries to come in, and then all of a sudden there's chaos, tech chaos, whatever, it just begins to develop from there. So no, we need to take those thoughts captive immediately and not go into isolation, not say, oh, I can't ask Mary for help, or I can't ask Jennifer for help because I just did. No, you continue, you move forward, right? And this is not to create codependency. If anything, this is a break from it. I tell my clients all the time, if you're stuck on something for more than 10 minutes, and yes, you prayed on it, and this is something that we've been working on together, please reach out to me. I'm clear with my boundaries. Mary, I don't know if you have this. Do you know how many people are so concerned with how busy I am? I'm like, y'all, I am not busy today. Why y'all trying to make me so busy all the time? I created my groups and my one-on-one and all this designed for my lifestyle. Right. And so if I'm busy, I'm not going to reply. I'm not going to check a message if I'm not available to check it. How many people do that? Oh, I forgot to reply to the. Now, don't get me wrong. We have our errors every now and then. And sometimes we know we do click on something accidentally. But the thing is like, those boundaries, right, need to be put in place. That spontaneous structure, right? Going back to your identity, all these things are going to help with anxiety. And yes, there's some other things that we might not even be aware of. I was eating an apple a day thinking that was good for me, and that was causing me anxiety. My body does not like to digest raw apples. Every now and then a taffy apple, we can slide that one through. Right? Especially in the fall. But steamed apples are okay, but not every day, right? Wasn't good for me. So there was a lot of other things that I had to learn and come through to overcome anxiety, and also healing some. I see a lot of people that really get stuck in their sales process if they've come from any type of narcissistic abuse or environment. And I myself had encountered that for many, many, many years and was able to break free. So yeah, there's breakthroughs, my friends, breakthroughs.
Yeah. There's so much breakthroughs. And y'all, one of the things that I love most about Jennifer is the fact that she focuses on what's deeper than the words that come out of your mouth. Because like she just said, like 90% closing ratio is simple, but it's what's going on in here and what's going on in here. And so that is so key.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to change this a little bit because I think that this is something like it can be kind of difficult to just talk about in like a general sense. But one, I think that figuring out what works for you is perfect. That example with an apple. Y'all, another example that Jennifer has is she drinks warm smoothies. And I just think that that is absolutely hilarious and incredible. But again, it's because that's what worked for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Warm smoothies keep my tummy warm
Yeah.
is better for me than cooling things, right? So it just helps to bring that um, flow down, right? And not have such a hot head. My Latina temperament back in the day can still come out every now and then. But let me tell you, my heart has been transformed like you wouldn't believe, right? So that can come through as I show up and I serve others and not take it as rejection. If anything, sometimes it's actually protection, right? Protection. Maybe that person has more there than what I can give right now, the more there that they need, right? And I might not be the right resource. But either way, I can still have a conversation and connect. And then we can mutually make a decision. How do we move forward from there? And then typically I'll schedule another call and then we'll dive into that. And I paint the picture of what that looks like. So that's part of the sales from the heart method that I teach. And again, it's something that we customize for each person. But as we're going through this and as you're walking through that outline, right? Not a script, but an outline, and we're customizing it for you, I could hear things in your voice. I could even see things without actually having to see you there, right? And that perception that that could be a trigger word for the other person or for yourself. So when it comes to sharing your pricing, for example, are you hesitant? Are you talking so fast through it? Are you, making the other person feel decision fatigue because your offer isn't so clear, right? Some of the people that I ended up connecting with, Mary, out of your group, uh, this was some of the things that I heard was regarding price, right? People said that the price was too high, and I asked them how much were their services, and I'm like, whoa, that's a steal.
Wow.
Maybe it's because of the people that you're speaking to, right? They don't understand what it's worth to them. And are you even asking that question? So there's a series of about 10 to 15 questions that can be really powerful. And then again, these can be customized in the way that you flow in your language and what it's going to be received on the other end. But really, are you understanding what it's worth to them before you even present your pricing? Yeah, what does that process look like? Are you speaking to the appropriate clients? Because when I first started, I didn't have a group offer like I have now. I didn't have something on the foundational or entry level, right? I only was able to do a higher transformation and value and the investment, right, at that time based on what was going on in my life. I didn't have any other extra income coming in, right? And I also knew, who doesn't want the best? Who doesn't want the best? Why am I going to shortchange them? Whether they have the finances right now or not is irrelevant. Do you know how many people I have tell me thank you for not disqualifying me? Because I know they're not going to be in the same position 3 months from now, 6 months from now. It could even be a week from now. Money can go up and it can go down really quick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. So would you say that, like, when you talk about this outline, is there things that you either say or you choose not to say that can help with maybe some of these objections that you hear at the end of the sales call?
Yeah. So, spoiler alert, when we use the sales from the heart method, we rarely ever will get objections. And the reason why is because we're talking some things out prior.
Okay.
Right.
Can we just clarify what is an objection really quick, just to make sure we're using the same language?
Yeah. So an objection could be like, I can't afford this right now. I need to talk to my spouse, but it's really an excuse. There's the true, I need to talk to my spouse, and then there's the excuse, right? Any other excuse or reason why somebody can't move forward, right? So some of the questions that I got from people, I can go over with you right now. One was, I don't want to spend that much money on myself, even though it may be less than $100, right? I actually find any program that's less than $100 is probably one of the harder sales than something that's actually $1,000 and plus. Yeah. And so we need to uncover prior to that, what is it worth to them? Why are they even on a call to begin with? Right. And And they may end up finding and realizing that they're investing money in other areas and other things, but they're being depleted. They haven't put that forth to themselves. So does it take a little bit of extra tenderness and care? Absolutely, it does. Does it take asking them, hey, can we pause for a second and really dive into something that I'm hearing here? But it doesn't need to be so scattered. Again, usually what I teach with the sales from the heart method and the structure, and this is not something that I just made up, like it's a proven process out there. Okay. But again, the deeper part is hearing what's coming up for you and what could come up for the other person. That's the part that we clean up. So you can get the outline all day long, but you might not get 90% enrollment. Okay. You might only have maybe, I would say probably about 50 to 70%. And that's still pretty good because most people are under 30% conversion. Yeah. And again, it depends too on how they're presenting their offer, et cetera. Okay. But when it comes to the questions or the structure, it's like a series of maybe 10 to 15 powerful questions that we're asking, right? To really understand where they're at. And you're taking notes, you're understanding, is this something that you can really help them with? And then after that, we'll share typically 3 to 5 main areas that you'll focus on and you'll help clients with, and tie that back into them. Leave them with value on that call. And again, this is the second call, not the first call. Okay. This is a second call. Yeah. And then after that, right after you go through pretty much the heart of the sales, which is your 5 main areas that you focus on with clients, they usually think like, oh my gosh, this was made for me. Now, it genuinely has to be, right? You're not trying to manipulate it and trying to make it fit into what they are. And I have my 5 main areas on jenniferreyes.com if anybody wants to take a glimpse at them. I don't go into detail on there. That's the coming next part, the video that I'll be posting on there, right? And then after that, it takes 5 minutes for me to share my pricing with them. And they make a decision, right? Usually right then and there. Now I'm asking people to pray on it and speak to their spouse ahead of time. And if they still need another day or two to do that, that's fine. But what we do is we schedule the next call to honor the conversations that we've had prior. And I'll ask, is that fair that we do this? It doesn't need to be a scary conversation. It doesn't need to, if it's a no, it's okay. But if it's a yes, here's what it would look like if it's a yes. Right. And I paint the picture for them. Again, that takes only about 5 minutes towards the tail end of the call. I might not invite everybody in. I may only go through the question part and then give them some tips, some insights, some resources to give them value. And I make another recommendation for them because at the same time, each of you have to decide, is this your assignment as well? Is this somebody you're supposed to be working with? Yeah. It's a mutual thing. It's not just one-sided. Yeah.
When you can get to that aspect of knowing that it's two-sided on the people who you talk to, that relieves in itself so much pressure and anxiety. It's not like, oh, this is the one person I have to like,
Yeah.
no.
No. And now I'm pretty clear on the first time when we connect, it's usually a 10 to 20 minute call. If this is going to be my assignment to serve further on one other call, right? That usually is very clear for me. Then as we do the second call, then I'm getting that revelation. Ooh, am I going to invite them in or not? Right? Am I really truly the best fit, or is this the time right now for us to move in this? Yeah. So it's a really natural process. And then after we do this, some people will move into some automation, but there's always that human element. I think people think that it always needs to be just automated, hide behind the screen. No, at least not from what I've seen. Even some of the bigger people the coaches out there in the industry that I saw what they did, they had people on the back end like myself calling and engaging and, connecting with people. Right. So, and again, I'm not speaking for all businesses, but for a lot of service-based businesses, this is where it's at. People want to connect with other people.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you have like the first call, which is like 10 to 20 minutes, and then you have the second call. How do you set that up? Like, how do you set up that invitation for the first call versus the second?
Okay, so the first call is, again, it's just a natural flow, right? It's sincerely being interested in the other person, not being interested in just your services, or could they be a potential client? Think about how you can be a connector, connecting them to other people, right? Other resources. There's something there. And yes, on occasion, somebody will sneak through that you're like, what is this? We don't need to talk again. And that's okay. They're probably feeling the same thing, right? It's okay. But at least just still honor that and close out the conversation with integrity. Yeah. So yeah, there is a process. And again, I can't just give you the exact formula because everybody is going to be different on how they move that forward. Right. But I'll customize that with each person and what that looks like. But for example, it may be something that you and I are talking about something, Mary, and I would say, oh my gosh, Mary, this is amazing. I think that we should dive into this again, but even deeper. And so can I share with you what that second call would look like? And you would say, oh my gosh, yes. And then I would say, okay, we're going to need to block out the next an hour for us to get back on a call, right? The first 20 minutes is going to be designated just to you, where I'm going to go through some questions and ask you just to share, nothing you need to prepare for ahead of time. And I'm going to take down some notes. I'll get some insights, right? And then after that, on what I'm led to share with you, I will do that because I'm not led to share everything. I might get a bigger picture here, but unless we're working together, I don't want to overwhelm you or overexcite you, right? So it wouldn't be fair if I share everything, but I'll give you a little glimpse and it'll be valuable, insightful. You'll leave the call feeling renewed, right? And then I can share with you the 5 main areas that I focus on with clients only if it makes sense for us both. And then you'll have everything you need towards the tail end of the call to make a clear and easy decision if it's a yes or no. That's simple.
That's so simple, and it's so honoring in the fact that you tell other people exactly what's going to happen. I've gotten on sales calls with coaches before, and the amount of like stress that I chose to feel because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. Is this going to be weird? And I know Lydia and Sarah were on here as well, and like thinking about y'all for this too, of just the piece, like you're just letting people know, just like you would let a friend or a family member know what your plans are.
Yeah, exactly. Just communication. It's communication, right? And really just from the heart. And sometimes will it come out a little mumbled? Yes. Okay. In the beginning, that's okay because the people that are placed before you are the exact right people you're meant to serve in that moment. Y'all, I had health challenges for about 3 years, several years ago, right? That's a whole nother story. But the people that were placed before me were so gracious, so understanding. I even had one of my clients tell me, Jennifer, if this is you only at 40, 50%, I can't imagine what you're going to be like at 100. I'm like, whoa, like literally waterworks at that point. I was crying. Oh. Yeah, it really touched my heart, you know? So in the way that you maybe coach from or serve, you know, when you're first starting out, if you're just getting started versus how it's going to be even months from now, a year from now, 10 years later, could be very different, right? Even the type of people that you're asked to serve. And so going back to some of these things that I got from some people here, you know, you may be asked to serve a different audience right now. You may be asked to serve and go out and you're just feeling, oh my gosh, you know, can I really talk to these women executives or can I really talk to these that are a little bit more affluent? We're all human. Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not? And then later you can open up some more of those, you know, entry level programs for others. Yeah. But there's something there regarding your finances that we really need to get taken care of, right? Any type of money issues in self-worth, or is your program really, you know, can you really charge this amount because you're just starting out? Well, you're going to operate out of integrity, aren't you? So what if you actually don't get through all the content and transformation that you want to deliver in that amount of time? Why can't you add and extend your program? Right? Some of y'all are charging session per session. Come on, really? I mean, I'm not saying you can't get transformation in 1 hour. I've literally had people tell me like, oh my gosh, 1 hour with you was more than, you know, a year in therapy or something. And that was back when I was doing some of the deeper, you know, stuff. And this is not to knock therapy by any means. It was just, that was my person to serve. That was my assignment. So are you showing up? Are you showing up for your assignments? Are you walking in obedience to that? Because let me tell you, when you don't, woo, watch out. I got stories for days on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And the way that you just broke that down, you made it so simple. It's like, hey, first of all, communicate with people, be honest about it. And also, the person who you're called to serve, reach out and talk to them, serve them.
Yeah.
Like serve them to the highest level and know that like I got this from Marie Forleo, but like everything's figure outable.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, hey, if you need to extend the program, extend the program. If you need to jump on another call with somebody, jump on another call with somebody. But don't let that prevent you from getting on the first call. Come on, somebody.
Yes, that's an air horn moment.
That is an air horn. Hold on, y'all. I'm not home, so we gotta pull it up on YouTube. Could y'all hear that? I don't know if you could hear it.
We couldn't, but you know, it's still an air horn moment.
Yeah. Y'all, if you have an air horn, then just, do it at home. I love that.
If you don't know what we're talking about with the air horn, you have to pop into Mary's group.
Y'all, I love me some air horn.
Yes.
Jennifer, was there anything else? I have a question from Sarah in the group, but I just wanted to ask anything else about like objection handling, anything else that you wanted to share and be able to give. What you already shared was absolutely incredible. But I just wanted to ask before we went to Sarah's question.
Yeah, one more. So we already talked about price. We talked about spouses, what did they say there? We talked about price, that they think it's too much, or maybe it's actually too little and you're not targeting, some other people that you could. But the other one is, oh my gosh, I'm just too busy, right? And again, I think we need to call out what's truth and what's a lie there. And so I would ask something along the lines. And again, this isn't at the end you're handling this. This is actually the very beginning in the connection call, right? Or possibly before you even share anything about your services, you're asking some of these things. And one of the things that I ask is, number one, how many hours do you think that you need to invest in and on your business per week? And then I ask, what is the minimum amount that you would like to bring in? And what's your ideal? And I can't tell you how many people say that they think that, they should be working about 40 to 50 hours per week, even 30, to bring in 5,000 per month. And that is excessive amount of hours for that amount of pay. And even in general. So we're probably not talking about hitting seven figures, right out the gate in your first month, second month, maybe a little bit after that, later on, but even still 40 hours per week is excessive, right? That means that you're trying to do everything on your own. Typically, I ask people, depending on where they want to go with things, but we just need 1 to 2 hours per week. If the goal is about, if it's 10,000 or higher per month, then yeah, probably about 8 to 10 hours per week. Okay. But if usually someone that's in that mindset that they're too busy, they're looking at $5,000, between $3,000 to $5,000 per month. Right. And so if you don't have 1 to 2 hours per week, then I'm actually concerned for your health. And let's just pause the conversation and make sure we get you the support that you need.
Wow.
Yeah. How many people burn out? They're stressed out, right? They're having all kinds of health issues. And again, I can speak from that because I was there. I had an open door. I had, stuff that I was inviting in, right? And again, that's a whole nother conversation. So when we've gone through these things, it's easier to hear it and spot it in others, and also to stand firm and stand in that gap, right? And encourage them to take these thoughts and these behaviors captive.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I love about you is you have the authority to teach and talk about so many of these things, because we're just going to look at it as like, fortunately, like you walked through it. Obviously, like the pain, like some of these things you don't ever want to, but you walked out of it. So you have that authority. You have the ability to be able to see it. And she's really good at being able to see it in other people and so lovingly call it out. Be like, hey, this is where you can shift. Hey, this is what you can look at. Take the thoughts captive.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you focusing on? Are you taking time for yourself? What are you exercising? All of these different things.
Yeah. In other words, I was a hot mess, y'all. I really was. I'll admit it. I mean, anxiety, depressed, suicidal thoughts, and dysfunctional relationships, you name it. I was chasing after the dollar way back when, and just felt that emptiness and that void. I would say I also had a near-death experience that wasn't pretty by any means, but that wasn't still enough motivating factor for me to have and accept and surrender. Right. And it wasn't until someone spoke God's truth and word over me did my heart recognize that and open up to that. And that's where the dragonflies come in, because God has such a funny sense of humor, taking an insect that I thought was the most disgusting and gross insect ever as a little girl and finding beauty in that. And the day that I accepted my heart to the Lord, I was surrounded by dragonflies. So that's why I have the dragonfly as my logo. The J does not stand for Jennifer. So thank you, Jesus, for just giving me this life. Yeah, this new life.
Wow. I haven't heard this story yet.
I know I haven't shared it a lot lately, but God's placing on my heart to do so. Do you see, Mary, why I need your services to help me fill out these stories? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it happened again on my 2nd year anniversary and my 4th year anniversary. So without a doubt, yeah. So we each have a story, y'all. You have your own version of a dragonfly, and it's time that we share it, because there's a lot of other noise out there. There's a lot of noise out there that is not healthy for people's eyes or hearts, their ears, and they need to hear yours. And so I would encourage you to connect with Mary on being able to share that dream, that vision that God has placed in your heart with others, especially on social media through storytelling. And then also, let's get you not shying away from these conversations. Let's let you truly tap into, connecting with others and really serving from the heart, selling from the heart, because that's what selling is really about, of being of service, being authentic, listening, engaged, and yes, the spiritual component. So that's SALES, right? Serve, be authentic, listen, engaged, and spiritual.
Wow. They all work together.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So do we have any questions that are coming in the live chat right now in your Engagement Accelerator group?
We do. So Sarah just asked, how do you reset after anxiety?
How do I personally reset after anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, everybody's going to be a little different. So I have different things, right? So number one, I have to check and make sure, am I getting rest? Am I working from a place of rest, right? When I go to the physical first, okay? Because we're not going to give the enemy all this credit, y'all. Some of you just want to say it's always spiritual warfare, but are you getting enough rest? Are you truly sleeping well at night? Right? And for enough hours? Are you nourishing your body? Sometimes when we're pouring out, we're giving to other people. Y'all, I never got hungry. I'm like, oh wait, I'm human. I'm supposed to like eat in between calls. So I had to adjust how many sessions I would do in a day. Was I getting up and taking breaks? Was I going on my prayer walks, etc.? Right? So you need to adjust those things. So go check the physical body, and check to see if you're eating certain foods that maybe could be triggering, or even certain supplements. I was taking vitamin D that was actually causing a lot of head pressure and anxiety. That was not good for me. I had to find a different form of a supplement, right? The other thing is obviously prayer. And one thing, and I admit this today, I did not reach out to my intercessory team like I normally do. I don't know how I just forgot about that or what. And I was in prayer and I'm listening to worship music, but let me tell you the attack that tried coming through. Yeah. And so please have people that will pray with you and for you and over you and all of those things. It's really, really important. Yeah. And if you don't know what to ask, if you're feeling a certain way, that could still be a question. So many people will tell me like, Jennifer, I want to reach out to you, but I don't even know what to ask. Just reach out. Just reach out, right? Don't stay in isolation. Yeah, because then those thoughts will begin to, snowball further and further and further from there. Yeah. Some other things, some people may find, exercising, depending on what type of exercise, but usually for anxiety, we want to stick with low impact. So walking, a little bit of strength building, but nothing like those boot camps, Mary. I think I heard you talk about, like, for you, it might be great. For somebody like me, forget about it, right? It's very stressful on my body, And then the other thing is acknowledge your spiritual gifts. There may be something there. This is for somebody. There may be something there with your spiritual gifts that are trying to be distorted, perverted, manipulated. And you actually feel things, but they're not yours. Let me say that again. You're feeling things that actually are not yours. So we want to take that to the Lord and pray and ask and say, God, what do you want me to do with this, if anything? He may just want you to keep going to him first. You go to him first. not scroll on social media to try to numb or comparison starts to set in because you're not creating, you're consuming. Mary wants you all to create what God has placed in your heart, not keep just consuming. Then when you go on social media, then you can actually engage and connect with other people. It's a big difference than just consume or just hit a like button to feed the algorithm. How authentic is that? I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right. Wow.
Or just commenting on other people's posts just so you can get some eyes on yours. After a while, it's going to feel really draining. By the way, I should have said this in the beginning. You either like me or you don't. I'm not for everyone. So I might be hitting some buttons here. Yeah.
I'm like, man, maybe that was for me. I was like, man, yes.
No, Mary, you don't do that.
No, the first part. No. The first part about like going to him first.
Oh, yeah.
You said like, oh, this is for somebody. I was like, oh man, maybe that was like a reminder for me today. I think it can be a reminder for a lot of people, but it's been coming up this week.
Some people will get disappointed when they reach out to me and then I point them back to him first, and then what I'll share will be confirmation of what he's already given you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've done that for me.
I have, and I can feel the little bit of like, oh, I know she wanted more and I have to resist because why? There is only one savior, you all. There's only one savior. It's not you. It's not me. Right. So that releases the pressure off of our shoulders. But that again, I didn't learn that easily. Mary, I went through constantly just pouring out to everybody. I was serving in this ministry and that group and over here and over there. And then I would just be exhausted and I couldn't focus on building my own business until a friend called me out on that. And she said, that's just not true, that you're just this tired. I said, what do you mean? She's like, well, you have energy to go here, there, and everywhere. I was like, ouch. She was right.
Wow.
Yeah.
You need those people.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I have another question for you. Lydia asked about the value. How do you determine the value of your program? Is it what you value it as? Is it what somebody else would value it?
Yeah, this is good. I'm glad you asked that because we need to go back to what is truly the transformation in each of your programs, right? So like in my WOW program, my Wings of Wisdom program, that's the one that I provide the biggest transformation, but I don't invite everybody into that. And actually it's not even up to me. It's who has God said, this is my assignment to serve, and they have to say yes as well, right? Then we go down into another program. What is the transformation there? It's to still be a little bit similar to your highest tier, but maybe we just don't do something. We don't have one service in there, so decide what that is. And so when you're presenting and sharing your pricing, and actually I do have a simplified way of doing this, but when you do that, you want to really focus on the transformation, not on it has this many sessions and this many things. Some of y'all are giving away weekly sessions. And I'm like, what? I don't even want to, you can't pay me to be on a weekly call all the time. Right. And I'm just at a different space. Right. But most of the time, most of the people that I'm called to serve, as much as we like and we want to work on stuff, weekly is going to be way too much. Now, it's not, again, for everybody. I'm talking about for me. For you, it may be different, right? But we want to take a look at that. You may be thinking you need to give away this, that, and that because you're equaling your time with the investment. And that is just not true. If you can share with someone on a piece of, chicken scratch paper writing or something, right? Something that's going to help them get to the next level. And they don't need to invest weekly calls with you. Come on. What is that worth? Yeah. Right. And then the other thing is what happens in between those times that they have those sessions, even, once or twice a month, what's really being transformed and happening there. That's where you can open up some communication, but it doesn't have to be 24/7. Yeah. Again, I tell my peeps, reach out in between. That's where really breakthrough happens, but it doesn't mean that it has to be time consuming for me or for them. What gets time consuming is when they start going off in isolation, when they start consuming freebie after freebie after freebie after freebie, right? Instead of just paying attention and focusing in this one thing, because you've been called to serve them, but all of a sudden, and they know that, right? And they need to be able to receive that. And then all of a sudden they're chasing after all these shiny objects. All this confusion is going to happen. And again, I probably should have said this at the beginning of the call, Mary, that if you're just watching this just to see what else you can get, or you're following another program that's working for you, we should have said, don't listen to this, right? Because you're doing yourself a disservice. Follow the thing that's already been placed before you, that mentor, that coach, that person. If you don't have somebody, then again, that's okay, right? And this is not to say somebody that's working with myself can't work with Mary and vice versa, because
absolutely,
it's compatible. It's not conflicting. But a lot of times what I teach versus, what maybe your upline may teach, right? It's going to be conflicting. This is why usually I will point them to somebody else like Heather Shriver Burns, or somebody else who, really understands that area, because I have not been in direct sales or MLM, right? Multi-level marketing. And so what I'm going to teach is going to be conflicting. And we don't want that. That's going to cause more chaos. Otherwise, you're just chasing after that thing too. You're coming over here to try to chase after that dollar, that whatever. And we don't want that. Yeah.
No, not at all. We want clarity, for it to be clear, and you being able to walk through to be able to get your breakthrough, not just switching from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you brought that up. Wow. I feel like, man, you dropped some amazing sales knowledge and skills, but also just whole human and like whole body, like wisdom. And I want to know, like, what did y'all get out of this? Like, if I saw some like wows, amens, come on, like, let's go in the chat. But I want to hear, like, what was a breakthrough for you? And I just want to say, like, Jennifer, you are absolutely incredible in what you do, the way you teach, that you take it so much deeper than the words on the page, and being able to talk to people. And you have radically impacted my life. And I'm just blown away every single time I get to hear from you and get to talk to you. So I definitely, like, if people want to be able to take that next step, they want to be able to reach out to you, what would be the best way for them to be able to do that?
Yeah. So you can just send me a DM. Jennifer Reyes. There's a lot of us out there, apparently. So find me through Mary in her group, and Engagement Accelerator. You can do that, or as her friend. You can go to jenniferreyes.com. And there's ways to connect with me in there. You can even just fill out, just a little bit of your info there, and I can reach back out too. And then I'm also hosting one more class. This is my Uncertain to Unshakable class on how to discern what path to go in, especially if you've been in programs before where maybe you feel, burned, you feel a little resentment, it didn't work, you don't want to hop into another program. You do not need to hop into mine. It's just been placed in my heart to give this. This is only something I've ever given to my clients. We work on a little Trello board, and we're discerning paths of what's worked well and what it hasn't. And if you want to, find out more about that, again, it's a free interactive class, then just go to my website, jenniferreyes.com, or you can reach out to me directly.
Amazing. Y'all, I got to hear this class. Amazing. Literally like nothing else that I've ever been through. You may have been through it. I've never been through anything else like that. So highly, highly recommend. Somebody who was so kind to put your link in the comments already. And I just want to share these with you really quick. Lydia talked about what she got from today is like the focus is love and showing up for our assignment. Transformation is the goal. Sarah said to humble and be brave enough to ask and trust the Lord to be the vessel. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah. So good. That's so good.
So good.
I haven't looked at any of the comments. I'm just right here right now. So if anybody has anything as they're watching the recording, you could reach out to Mary and myself, and we'll be happy to share. And who knows, maybe we do some kind of bonus thing, or, something down the road. And Mary's actually doing a training in my group, Unshakable Confidence Club. And so maybe we can open that up even to some other people that aren't as familiar with your trainings, Mary. So just communicate, stay connected with us, and we'll get you plugged in.
So good. So good. Jennifer, did you have anything else that you wanted to share before we wrap it up for today?
Yeah, I just want to say to each of you to stay encouraged. Don't feel confused, right? Because God is not the author of confusion. Yeah. And then just first pray on it, and then reach out. reach out if you want to share what he's placed on your heart, or if you have a particular question or insight or whatever, but to stay in community. Community is really important. Yeah. And don't feel compelled that you have to like sign up for this or that.
Yeah.
You'll know when it's right. You know who you would like to serve you. Yeah. And then also keep that in mind as you step up to work with others, and that releases all the pressure, from selling. Right. But really, sales is a beautiful and amazing thing, because when you do it from the heart, when you step into that authority that you've been given, right, and you know who you truly work with and work for and who works through you, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Wow, that was a mic drop moment. And like air horn, I'm not able to play it right now, but like that was air horn mic drop moment. Come on.
Aw. Yeah, we're missing the air horn.
No,
But I think there's a
traveling with
reason
it.
why, Mary, because you and I would be just maybe a little too goofy today. And this was like, we really needed to just, speak to people's hearts today. But yeah, you could have fun. You can have fun. You can have really heartfelt conversations. It doesn't need to be scary, and it just flows. It really flows because you're here to create this impact and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
It's so good. So good.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. Jennifer, you were absolutely incredible. And I'm just so grateful for you. Thank you for sharing your heart and speaking straight to the heart of people, because I do agree. It was something that people needed to hear today. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And thank y'all for joining and watching and listening. Yes, the replay will stay up. And y'all, I highly, highly, highly encourage you. Reach out to Jennifer. She's incredible. The first message that I went back and looked 2 weeks ago. The first message that Jennifer and I like talked about and like said, she literally was like, "Girlfriend, I love your purple hair." And then she talked about how she had tinsel in her hair. And I was like, "No way. I'm about to put more tinsel in my hair." So
I've got pumpkin spice though now. Yeah.
Pumpkin spice tinsel.
It's pumpkin spice.
Yeah,
it's hard to see. It may look like gray hair right now with the lighting.
I saw some of the orange on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got a hint of brownish orange to it. Yeah. And then there's some blue back here still and some other color. Yeah.
Nice. I like it. I like it. Yeah. So getting to connect, y'all know how I feel about like storytelling, getting connect with the human first, and then see if there's anything to offer. So connect with Jennifer. She's amazing. Even if you just want to like follow her and get to see what she like posts. But then if you feel like, hey, you want to jump into this free class, you want to do that, I will post the links so that you have the option to look at Unshakable Confidence or that free training that she's doing. Do you have a date for that yet?
No. It's whoever like says they want it, and then we'll set it up. and like each class is unique and different, and sometimes I did maybe like I think 3 or 4, and this will probably be the last one for the year. Yeah, because it's 2 hours, y'all. It's 2 hours. This is not a freebie. It's free for you, but I'm investing in it as well. So yeah. Incredible.
All right. Well, thank you again, Jennifer. I appreciate you, and thank y'all for listening. And I can't wait to see what y'all end up doing with this information. Yeah. It's gonna be good. All right. Bye. Bye.